Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Sean Young is an American actress known for her beauty, charisma, and memorable performances in several of the most iconic films of the 1980s. Her career has been marked by both critical acclaim and controversy, making her one of Hollywood's most fascinating and enigmatic figures. Early life. Sean Young was born Mary Sean Young on November 20, 1959, in Louisville, Kentucky, USA. She grew up in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, and attended the Interlochen Arts Academy in Michigan, where she developed her passion for acting and the arts. Before becoming an actress, Young worked briefly as a model and dancer in New York City. Rise to fame. Young's film career began in the early 1980s with roles in Jane Austen in Manhattan, 1980, and Stripes, 1981, the latter giving her a small but noticeable part alongside Bill Murray. However, her breakout role came in 1982 when she starred as Rachael, the elegant and mysterious replicant in Ridley Scott's science fiction masterpiece Blade Runner. Her striking beauty and haunting performance helped make the film one of the most influential sci-fi movies ever made, and her role remains one of the most celebrated of her career. Following Blade Runner, she appeared in David Lynch's Dune, 1984, as Chani, solidifying her reputation as a performer who could bring depth to complex, otherworldly characters. She then starred opposite Kevin Costner in No Way Out, 1987, a taut political thriller that was both a critical and commercial success. Her portrayal of Susan Atwell was widely praised for its intensity and sensuality. Career challenges and controversies. Despite her talent, Young's Hollywood career was soon overshadowed by reports of her difficult on-set behavior and high-profile clashes with directors and co-stars. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, she was considered for several major roles, including Catwoman in Batman Returns, but was ultimately replaced after a horseback riding accident and public disputes. Her attempts to revive her career were often accompanied by tabloid attention, including public confrontations and eccentric appearances that fueled her reputation as unpredictable. Nevertheless, Young continued to work steadily in independent films and television throughout the 1990s and 2000s. Later work and comeback in the 2010s, there was renewed interest in her work, particularly as Blade Runner gained even more critical appreciation. In 2017, she was digitally recreated and also credited in Denis Villeneuve's Blade Runner 2049, a sequel to the original film, an acknowledgement of her lasting impact on the franchise and science fiction cinema. Young has appeared in various indie projects, including Darling, 2015, Send No Flowers, 2013, and television appearances such as The Young and the Restless. She has also occasionally participated in conventions and film retrospectives, where she remains a beloved figure among cult film fans. Personal life. Sean Young married Robert Lujan in 1990. The couple had 2 sons. Although they divorced in 2002, they later reconciled. Young has spoken openly about her experiences with Hollywood's double standards and the challenges faced by women in the film industry, particularly those who are outspoken or nonconformist. Legacy. Sean Young remains a captivating presence in the history of modern cinema. While her career trajectory was uneven, her work in films like Blade Runner and No Way Out continues to inspire admiration from audiences and critics alike. A combination of classic beauty, intelligence, and emotional intensity, she is remembered as one of the most intriguing and distinctive actresses of her generation. Continued career and public image. Following the major successes of Blade Runner and No Way Out, Sean Young became one of the most talked about actresses in Hollywood. She was often described as magnetic and self-assured, with a screen presence that combined classic Hollywood glamour and modern intensity. However, as the 1980s gave way to the 1990s, her outspoken nature and clashes with the Hollywood establishment began to affect her career trajectory. In 1989, Young starred in Cousins, a romantic comedy alongside Ted Danson. Based on the French film Cousin, Cousin, the film showcased her softer, more romantic side, earning her positive reviews and proving her range beyond the science fiction and thriller genres. But her career took a downturn soon after due to well-publicized disputes and missed opportunities. The Batman controversy, one of the most famous turning points in her career, came with the Batman films. Sean Young was originally cast as Vicky Vale in Tim Burton's Batman, 1989. But after a horseback riding accident during training, she was replaced by Kim Basinger. Young later made headlines when she appeared at Warner Brothers Studios dressed in a homemade Catwoman costume, lobbying for the role in Batman Returns, 1992. The incident became legendary in Hollywood lore, seen by some as bold and by others as desperate, and further complicated her relationship with major studios. 1990s roles and reinvention. Despite being sidelined by Hollywood's mainstream, Young continued to find work in the early 1990s. She co-starred with Charlie Sheen in Fatal Instinct, 1993, a Mel Brooks-style parody of erotic thrillers, and appeared in the hit comedy Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, 1994, opposite Jim Carrey. Though her role as Lieutenant Lois Einhorn was controversial, it reintroduced her to a new generation of audiences. However, her career never fully recovered to the level of her early fame. Through the late 1990s and early 2000s, Young appeared mostly in smaller independent productions and television movies, often portraying complex, troubled women, roles that echoed her public image. Challenges and public perception. Sean Young's struggles with Hollywood were often amplified by the media. She faced accusations of being difficult and unpredictable, terms that were frequently applied to women in Hollywood who resisted studio control or spoke their minds. Young has been candid about how these labels affected her career, suggesting that the film industry was quick to punish women for behavior that might be overlooked, or even celebrated, in male actors. In interviews, she has expressed frustration over being typecast and blacklisted, noting that she was often more outspoken than the industry was comfortable with. Despite these challenges, she has maintained a loyal fanbase and is admired for her honesty, individuality, and resilience. Later years and renewed appreciation. In the 2000s and 2010s, Young appeared in several independent films and made guest appearances on television, including Reno 911, Jugface 2013, The Alienist 2018, and A Kiss Before Dying. She also participated in reality TV, appearing on Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew, 2011, where she discussed her personal struggles and desire to rebuild her career. Her involvement, both archival and recreated, in Blade Runner 2049, 2017, was seen as a symbolic return, acknowledging her iconic role in film history. This renewed interest led to retrospectives of her work, particularly among film scholars and science fiction enthusiasts who re-evaluated her contribution to the genre. Personal reflections and legacy. Sean Young's story is one of talent, complexity, and perseverance. Though her career was hindered by Hollywood politics and sensationalized media coverage, her early performances remain timeless. Her portrayal of Rachael in Blade Runner is considered one of the defining roles in science fiction cinema, an embodiment of beauty, fragility, and artificial humanity. In interviews later in life, Young has emphasized her contentment outside of fame, focusing on her family and creative pursuits. She continues to appear occasionally in films and at fan conventions, where she is warmly received by audiences who appreciate both her talent and her defiance of Hollywood norms. Filmography highlights Stripes, 1981, Blade Runner, 1982, Dune, 1984, No Way Out, 1987, Wall Street, 1987, uncredited role, Cousins, 1989, Fatal Instinct, 1993, Ace Ventura. Pet Detective, 1994, Before I Self-Destruct, 2009, Blade Runner 2049, 2017, Digital Recreation. Sean Young remains a symbol of both Hollywood glamour and rebellion, a gifted actress who, despite setbacks and controversy, continues to command respect for her artistry and individuality. Her career serves as a reminder of the complexities women face in the entertainment industry and the enduring power of authenticity. The Enigma of Sean Young. A deeper look. Sean Young's story is often described as a Hollywood cautionary tale, yet beneath the headlines and controversies lies the portrait of a woman ahead of her time. Intelligent, independent, and unafraid to challenge authority, she entered an industry that often demanded compliance, particularly from women. Her refusal to conform, coupled with her extraordinary screen presence, made her both fascinating and polarizing. Artistry and acting style. What set Sean Young apart from her contemporaries was her enigmatic allure, a mixture of poise, vulnerability, and quiet intensity. On screen, she could shift effortlessly from icy sophistication to emotional fragility. In Blade Runner, she embodied Rachael's struggle for identity with haunting precision, making the character one of cinema's most memorable representations of artificial life. Her performance has since been widely analyzed for its subtle expressions of repression, awakening, and self-discovery, traits that elevated a sci-fi role into something deeply human. In No Way Out, 1987, her portrayal of Susan Atwell showcased another side of her range, sensual yet intelligent, vulnerable yet self-possessed. Her chemistry with Kevin Costner was electric, and the film remains one of her most praised performances. Critics noted that she could dominate a scene without needing grand gestures. Her stillness and gaze carried power. Even in lighter roles like Cousins or Fatal Instinct, Young demonstrated comedic timing and self-awareness, proving that her talent extended far beyond dramatic roles. Relationship with Hollywood. Sean Young's clashes with Hollywood executives and directors have often been sensationalized, but she has provided her own perspective in numerous interviews. She described the film industry as a place that rewards conformity and punishes honesty, emphasizing that her strong-willed nature and refusal to be submissive often worked against her. She was also open about facing gender bias, explaining that the label "difficult" was frequently used to silence women who voiced concerns or asserted themselves. In many ways, her outspokenness anticipated later discussions about gender inequality and power dynamics in Hollywood. Despite the difficulties, Young has consistently expressed affection for her craft and gratitude for the iconic roles she played. Her enduring fanbase, especially among Blade Runner devotees, continues to celebrate her artistry and authenticity. The Catwoman saga. A defining moment. One of the most infamous and misunderstood episodes in Sean Young's career was her pursuit of the Catwoman role in Batman Returns. After being replaced in the original Batman due to injury, she campaigned vigorously for the role of Selina Kyle in the sequel. Her decision to appear at Warner Bros. Studios in a homemade Catwoman costume and personally lobby Tim Burton became an instant tabloid sensation. While the incident was widely mocked at the time, many now view it as a bold performance art-like statement, a woman literally donning armor to reclaim her place in an industry that had sidelined her. Young herself later described it as a tongue-in-cheek stunt, saying she was simply having fun with it. Nevertheless, the media's harsh reaction underscored Hollywood's discomfort with assertive women, a theme that continues to resonate in later discussions about industry bias. Life beyond the spotlight. In later years, Sean Young shifted much of her energy toward her family and personal life. She and her husband, Robert Lujan, raised 2 sons, and she has spoken warmly about motherhood as her greatest joy. Away from the pressures of stardom, she devoted time to painting and writing, both of which became creative outlets that allowed her to express herself freely. Young has also appeared at science fiction conventions and retrospectives, where she is often greeted with admiration and respect. Fans recognize her as a performer who brought elegance, intelligence, and humanity to her roles, particularly in Blade Runner, where her portrayal of Rachael remains a benchmark in cinematic history. Cultural legacy. Sean Young's influence extends far beyond her filmography. She is frequently cited in discussions about Hollywood's treatment of women and the challenges faced by actresses who defy expectations. Many film critics and historians have since re-evaluated her career, arguing that she was unjustly maligned during an era that punished strong, outspoken women. Her image, that of the mysterious beauty with sharp intelligence, has also left an imprint on pop culture. The stylized look of Rachael in Blade Runner, the sculpted hair, dark lipstick, and 1940s-inspired fashion remains iconic, influencing fashion designers, photographers, and filmmakers for decades. In recent years, younger audiences discovering Blade Runner have rediscovered Sean Young as a symbol of cinematic mystique and artistic defiance. Her performances are now appreciated with renewed depth, her story seen as one of survival and strength rather than scandal, a lasting impression through triumphs and turbulence. Sean Young has remained authentically herself, a rare quality in Hollywood. Her film career, though uneven, contains performances of striking emotional power and visual beauty. As a figure of resilience, she stands among those actors whose work continues to grow in esteem long after their peak fame. For many cinephiles, Sean Young is more than a movie star. She represents the tension between art and industry, individuality and conformity. Her name endures not just because of controversy, but because her artistry, elegance, and mystery still captivate audiences worldwide. Personal reflections and later years. As Sean Young entered the 21st century, she began to re-emerge in public life with more openness and humor about her past. Having lived through Hollywood's highs and lows, she spoke candidly about her experiences, offering insights that showed wisdom, resilience, and even forgiveness toward an industry that had often treated her harshly. In interviews from the 2010s and 2020s, she displayed a striking self-awareness, acknowledging that she had once been too honest for Hollywood. She explained that, in an environment driven by ego, power, and image, her bluntness and refusal to play political games often cost her opportunities. Still, she expressed no regret for being herself. "I wasn't going to be fake just to fit in," she said in one conversation. "I was always an artist first, not a product." Her reflections also revealed a sense of humor about her public image. When asked about her reputation for eccentricity, she responded playfully, "If you're not a little weird, you're probably not that interesting." Relationships and family. Sean Young has often credited her family for grounding her through turbulent times. She married Robert Lujan, a musician and actor, in 1990. They had 2 sons, Rio and Quinn. Though they divorced in 2002, they eventually reconciled, and their relationship endured through mutual respect and shared love of creativity. She has spoken fondly of raising her children outside the glare of Hollywood and often described motherhood as her proudest accomplishment. In later years, she and her husband lived a quieter life, occasionally attending film events and fan conventions together. Speaking out and finding her voice in the wake of the #MeToo movement, Sean Young revisited her experiences in Hollywood, discussing the power imbalances and the culture of silence that affected so many women in the industry. She shared stories of being mistreated or dismissed after rejecting advances, but she did so with a sense of perspective and calm rather than bitterness. In one interview, she noted that many of the difficult woman labels that followed her career stemmed from her unwillingness to tolerate harassment or condescension. She observed that her outspokenness would likely be viewed differently today, perhaps even celebrated, in an era more conscious of gender inequality. Her honesty and candor made her a respected voice in discussions about women's rights and the pressures of fame. She has emphasized the importance of mental health, self-acceptance, and integrity, especially for artists navigating the cutthroat entertainment industry. Artistic pursuits and personal projects beyond acting, Sean Young has always identified as a multidisciplinary artist. She has painted for many years, often describing visual art as her personal form of meditation and emotional expression. Some of her artwork has been displayed at small galleries and private exhibitions. She also explored writing, working on screenplays and memoir material, reflecting on her unconventional career path. Though she has yet to release a formal autobiography, she has hinted that she might one day publish her story, a combination of humor, honesty, and lessons learned from Hollywood's golden cages. Rediscovery and respect over time, Sean Young's reputation has undergone a transformation. Critics and fans have re-examined her body of work with greater appreciation for her skill and courage. Modern audiences, particularly younger generations familiar with Blade Runner, view her as a cult cinema icon, an actress whose presence transcended mere celebrity. Directors and actors who grew up watching her performances often cite her as an influence. Many have commented on her magnetic stillness, expressive eyes, and ability to convey inner conflict without words, qualities that made her performances both subtle and unforgettable.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.